Okay, book besties, welcome to Vlogmas Day 7. I'm filming this the day before, so it is currently 3:07 on December 6th, aka Wind and Truth release day. And you have terrible lighting because you're in my car. I literally just got done with work. I'm in the parking garage, which is why there's bad lighting. We are on a hunt to find my husband, as a surprise gift, a signed copy of Wind and Truth. So I have 3 Barnes & Nobles close to me that I can go to. Let's go to the first one and see what we can find. The audiobook that I am listening to while I am on the road right now is The Inmate by Frida McFadden. Started this morning at work. I'm like 35% into it now. It's really good so far. I don't entirely understand how things are gonna come together yet, but I think it's good. Hoping to really get into it now that I'm not multitasking, On my way to Barnes & Noble number 1 to try and find a signed copy of Wind and Truth. Wish me luck. Okay, sorry for the awful angle, but Barnes number 1 was a failure. And holy cow, is it really hard to walk past all of the beautiful books that they have in there right now, because I'm focused. I'm on the hunt. As you could see from the clip before this, they had 1 million copies. None of them are signed, and I'm on a mission for a signed one. I am not sure if this is going to happen today. I looked online. None of the stores near me had them, but I didn't know, because sometimes if it says it's out of stock online, they don't have it or anything like that. There's a couple floating around in the store, so we're gonna go check Barnes number 2. This Barnes that I'm about to go to has terrible parking, so if it becomes too complicated, I'll just give up and go to Barnes number 3, which is by my son's daycare, and we'll go from there. Actually, you know what? I'm calling it quits here, actually. I'm not going to go to Barnes number 2 because it's Friday, and that is in, the outlet area, and it's the holiday season, so I'm not doing that. I'm going to go home, and then I think here's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go to the Barnes by daycare, obviously, because it's right there when I go pick my son up. If they have it signed, obviously win-win. If they don't have it signed, I think I'm just going to get him a regular copy in hardcover. I'm struggling so hard. Maybe I wait to get the signed one shipped. Decisions. Okay, regardless, we're not going to Barnes number 2. We're gonna go home. We're gonna get cozy, get ready to go pick up my son at daycare when it's time. When we pick him up at daycare, I will stop at the other Barnes. If they have it signed, obviously we will get signed. If not, I will check and order it online, and then instead of it being a birthday present for my husband, it will be a Christmas present. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we can get it by Christmas. He doesn't even really care because he has the Kindle and the audiobook of Wind and Truth, so this is just an extra thing. I really want to get him signed copies of all the Sanderson books for display purposes. Both of us, honestly. It's kind of selfish for me too, so that's the plan for that. Maybe if that is the case and I end up ordering it, we'll just do some general book shopping in this video. That way it's not just a complete fluke failure in terms of finding Wind and Truth, but I will keep you guys posted. The drive to get to this first one was a half an hour, so I listened to The Inmate. I am about 40% through right now, which may be what I told you before, but I was at 32% when I started. Now I'm closer to 38, 39%. It's good. I don't know how to feel yet. I don't know how to feel about anybody. I just don't trust anybody at this point. I feel like every character is kind of untrustworthy, and I don't want to say annoying. The female main character is kind of annoying. I don't know if I like her, to be honest. She seems kind of naive and woe is me about everything. and kind of like giving Little Mermaid vibes, like she needs a man to make her happy. So we'll see. I'm gonna keep listening to that, but I'm gonna head home and I will check back in once we go to the other Barnes by Daycare. Hey book besties, we're back. Part 2 of that adventure was for naught. My son was beyond cranky when I picked him up from daycare, so that was not an option for me. And so when I went to peruse online, they are out of stock online as well. So, nonetheless, she persisted. And in order to make this video not a flop, I am going to go over a little book haul with you guys, because despite the fact that I did not get what I was looking for today, I do have a bunch of new books to share with you. These are books that I have purchased over the past few weeks. The Amazon Black Friday books that I bought are supposed to be here on Sunday. Today's Friday, and I don't want to wait to post this video, so I'm just going to show you what I have. But I went out on a little bender on Book of the Month this month, and then I have some other books to show you. So we're going to go over those. That way this video is not for nothing. And then I think we're going to set some reading goals for 2025, because I want to do that soon, because I think this weekend I am going to go out and buy a journal to do some book journaling in 2025. So I need to set my goals. That way when I go to do my journaling, I'm ready to go. So let's go over the books that I have. First up is Pucked by Helena Hunting. This is obviously a hockey romance, but look at the sprayed edges on this, y'all. With the hockey sticks and the couple and the hockey sticks, that's 100% why I picked this up. A, I absolutely eat up a hockey romance, but B, this is stunning sprayed edges, which I know sprayed edges are like not special anymore. It's the one thing that kind of sucks about it, but this is beautiful, so I needed to have it. But I shall read you the back, and we shall learn together what it's about. She thought it was just one night, but hockey's biggest player wants more in this clever and sexy rom-com. Don't miss the New York Times best-selling series from Helena Hunting. I have zero interest in legendary hockey player Alex Waters or his pretty beat-up face and six-pack abs. Having a famous pro athlete for a stepbrother means that I'm aware that a lot of these guys are notorious F-boys. The only hockey games I attend are under duress. That is, until Alex starts talking books to me. Ooh, she's a book girly. Then he becomes more than just a hot body with a face to match. And soon I discover just how good Alex is with the hockey stick in his pants. Okay, we have some cringy writing, that's for sure, but I could be here for it. But I can... I'm not going to finish the back of this blurb. It's cringy. Just know that. But she says, I just expected it to be one night. Except Alex starts to call and text and email and send extravagant gifts. Suddenly he's too difficult to ignore and nearly impossible not to like. The problem? Alex is a total player. And me, I don't want to be part of the game. Sounds like Boy Down Bad. I ain't even gonna lie about it. So I'm kind of into that. I'm just a little nervous now about the writing quality because of the back. I mean, hey, it's a hockey romance. It can't be that bad, right? We shall see. But that's Pucked by Helena Hunting. Next up is a YA thriller that I'm really excited about. It's called None Shall Sleep. I have heard that if you like The Naturals, this is very similar to it. So I am really excited. This is a duology? Duology? I know there's at least 2. I don't think it says on here. But essentially this is kind of like The Naturals, except they interview other teenagers that are serial killers. So they do, like, instead of just working on cold cases or something like they do in the Natural series, they actually, like, work with teenage serial unalivers. So this is supposed to be really good. I'm very excited about that. Okay, next up we're going to go to my Book of the Month books that I got this month, and I got a lot. I went a little overboard. I do love me some Book of the Month. So I'm going to start with, like, my actual Book of the Month for the month of December, and I ended up going with The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. I have not read another Erin A. Craig book, but I have other books by Erin A. Craig. I've heard really good things about her as an author, but this one looked really good. It says, Hazel has always known she wasn't like her siblings. A 13th child, promised to one of the gods, she spends her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death, to arrive and take her away. When he does, he lays out exactly what he's planned for Hazel's future. She'll become a great and celebrated healer. To aid her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift, the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. But all gifts come with a price. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient and is tasked with ending their suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run. But destiny brings her to the royal court where she meets Leopold, a rakish prince with a disdain for everyone and everything. I really hope Leopold is not our love interest. And that's where Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet. Should she save the life of a king marked to die? Hazel knows what she's meant to do and what her heart is urging her towards, but what will happen if she goes against the will of death himself? Maybe death is the love interest, because I sure hope it's not Leopold. I don't know if I can root for a man named Leopold. Sorry, that's just a new rule that I have with myself. But anyways, this book is stunning. Look at the cover. Even the back of it. It looks really good. So that's the book of the month book that I chose this month. And then I ended up getting 3 other books because I really do think that for the price, the hardcover fiction, this is not sponsored by Book of the Month. I wish it was, but I really do think, especially for hardcover books, like, you can't beat the price ever unless you find these in the clearance bin somewhere at some store. Like, you're never going to find better prices on hardcover books. So I did get 4 of them this month. So the next book that I got is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. And I have heard really good things about this book. And I know the second one just came out. It's called, like, What the Library Hides, I think. And I really want to read them. These are Egyptian inspired. Is that right? I think it is, because I think it's like the Nile River. Oh no, it's Argentina. Oh, okay. I thought this was Egyptian. No, this is Bolivia in Argentina. Inez belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires. It feels like the rest of the world. The town is steeped in old world magic that's largely been left behind or forgotten. Inez has everything a girl might want, except for the one thing she yearns most, her globe-trotting parents who frequently leave her behind. When she receives word of their tragic deaths, Inez inherits a massive fortune and a mysterious guardian, an archaeologist in partnership with his Egyptian brother-in-law. Yearning for answers, Inez sails to Cairo. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Egypt is a part of this book. Okay. Yearning for answers, Inez sails to Cairo, bringing her sketch pad and the golden ring her father sent to her for safekeeping before he died. Upon her arrival, the old world magic tethered to the ring pulls her down a path where she's discovered there's more to her parents' disappearance than what her guardian led her to believe. With her guardian's infuriatingly handsome assistant thwarting her at every turn, Inez must rely on the ancient magic to uncover the truth about her parents' disappearance or risk becoming a pawn in a larger game that will kill her. It's said to be The Mummy meets Death on the Nile. I'm not a movie person, so I have seen neither of those. I know Death on the Nile is an Agatha Christie book. So, like I said, the second one of this just came out, so I'm going to get that because they have it at Book of the Month too. But I wanted to get the first one so that I could read it because it sounds really good. Next up, a book that really needs no introduction, but 2025 is going to be my year of Kristen Hanna. This book needs no introduction, right? It's The Nightingale. It is her most popular work by far. This is her World War II inspired historical fiction book, and this takes place in Germany. Sorry, not in Germany, in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. So I have heard this book will absolutely make me sob, and that's coming from people who don't cry at books. And I cry at books all the time. So I can only imagine how much I'm going to cry when I read this. I used to devour World War II historical fiction. That had to be, hands down, my most commonly read genre. Like, straight out of college, like in college, like late high school, early college years kind of stuff. Like, even though I wasn't reading very much for personal enjoyment, just because like college and whatnot, when I was reading, a lot of it was historical fiction, and a lot of it was World War II historical fiction. Like, for example, The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult is one of my favorite World War II stories. I love things like The Book Thief and The Tattooist of Auschwitz and stories like that. So I know that I'm absolutely going to love this. Like All the Light I Cannot See, that's another good one. I have not read a World War II historical fiction probably since I read All the Light We Cannot See, which I think was back in like 2018, like when it first came out. So I'm very, very excited to get to this. And I also have The Women by Kristen Hanna, and I'm probably going to end up getting, I know they have The Four Winds, and I think they have The Great Alone through Book of the Month, so I'll probably get those, and then I'll just have myself a beautiful little Kristen Hanna hardcover collection. So I am very excited to get to this in 2025. And the last book that I picked up, I have seen this everywhere. I've seen some really good reviews on it, and I just saw one again recently because it kind of like had its time and is not as big now, but I just saw another review recently. Somebody who said they read this book in one sitting, that it was so good, and so I just had to pick it up, and that was Inkblood Sister Scribe. This is by Emma Tors, I think is how you pronounce that. I honestly don't even really know what it's about. Let's look. But I just heard it went really fast. For generations, the Kalate family has guarded a collection of ancient and rare books. Books that let a person walk through walls or manipulate the elements. Books of magic that half-sisters Joanna and Esther have been raised to revere and protect. All magic comes with a price, though, and for years the sisters have been separated. Esther has fled to a remote base in Antarctica to escape the fate that killed her mother, and Joanna's isolated herself in the family's home in Vermont, dedicating her life to the study of these cherished volumes. But after her father dies suddenly while reading a book Joanna has never seen before, the sisters must reunite to preserve their family legacy. In the process, they'll uncover a world of magic far bigger and more dangerous than they ever imagined, and all of their secrets their parents kept hidden, secrets that span centuries, continents, and even other libraries. In the great tradition of Ninth House, The Magicians, and Practical Magic, this is a suspenseful and richly atmospheric novel that draws readers into a vast world filled with mystery, magic, romance, and intrigue, and marks the debut of an extraordinary new voice in speculative fiction. Oh, this is a debut. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, wait, did this win debut? Is this year? No, this came out last year. This might have won debut last year for Goodreads, maybe? Did I make that up? I have no idea. But yeah, so Inkblood Sister Scribe, this actually sounds really good. I guess I thought that this was just like a full fantasy, but this is definitely seems to be more like urban fantasy, suspense kind of situation. I mean, it's labeled as speculative fiction. So, but yeah, I heard somebody say that they read this in like one sitting, and that intrigued me. So this was my other book that I got from Book of the Month. So those are all of the new books that I have at this moment. As I said, I do have my Amazon Black Friday purchases that I made coming on Sunday. So those are my like book haul-ish updates. I'm sorry that shopping did not go well in this video, but I am nevertheless persisting on the hunt for this item, and I will hopefully find it because, like I said, Barnes & Noble online was out as well. So I'm going to check Books A Million's website and Amazon, and if not, I'm just going to hold my horses. I don't want to jump the gun and get something that's not what I really want, like an unsigned one or paperback. Well, there's not paperbacks right now, but like my other option was to get the first 4 like as a box set, but I don't want to do that because I want them signed. Like if he's going to have them as trophies, he's in the other room, which is why I'm kind of like whispering. If he's going to have them as trophies, like he's going to want them at that level. Like, not that he wouldn't appreciate them, but it'll just make them that much more worthwhile to him. So I think he's actually listening to Wind and Truth right now because, like I said, he has the audiobook, so that's exciting for him. But, yeah, I'm going to hold out for signed copies as gifts, I think. I think that will just make him happier. And Lord knows eventually someday those are going to be worth money. So, okay, friends. So this next section and sort of the last thing we're going to do before we wrap this video up is I want to set some goals for myself for 2025 because I am going to be going and getting a journal this weekend, fingers crossed. And I want to be able to have my goals ready to go so that when I go to set the pages up at the beginning of the journal, I will have all of that information like ready to go to put into those pages, and I don't have to think about what those are going to be at that time. So I have a couple of different like prompts sort of to get my mind thinking about what my goals are going to be. Some of these are like ones that I used last year or ones that come in the apps that I use or just like general goal setting prompts. But I think this will give me a good sense of like where I want my reading to go in 2025. So we have our obvious ones, book goal. So this year I set my book goal at 200 books. And when I finish the book that I'm currently reading, I will have hit that goal. And it is December 6th as I'm filming this right now. So I feel pretty confident in keeping that goal. There is a part of me that is always interested in raising the stakes, pushing myself. However, I do think one thing I want to sort of prioritize in 2025. I don't really want to be super aggressive about my reading. I want to be more intentional about my reading. But here's the thing. I also, my ADHD is not going anywhere. I'm going to read a ton of books, largely because I read a lot via audio and I have to have something going on in my brain at all times. So I have to, like, if I'm doing something, I have to have something playing, and that's an audiobook for me. So, like, I get through a lot of books, but I do want to be more intentional about not pushing myself, especially when I am reading physical books. I don't want to push myself to finish those just because I'm trying to get them done. So if that's the case, I do think I want to keep my 200 and not push past that to try and work with that mentality. Hours listened. So this one I set, so this is coming from Storygraph, and this was my first time really doing this because at the time I was sort of just getting into audiobooks and I had no real sense of what my year was going to look like. I mean, I had a 6-month-old this time last year, so I really didn't know what this year of him becoming a toddler would be like in terms of my time wise. And so I kind of just arbitrarily set that goal at, let's see, I think I did 1,000 hours. Let me check. I know whatever it is, I surpassed it a hot minute ago. Not to toot my own horn, but yeah, I set it at 1,000 hours and I'm at 1,400 hours as of this moment today. So, and that's without me updating what I read earlier in this video. So, yeah, I think that 1,000 hours is definitely too low, and I want to lean in more to my audiobooks next year. I have definitively decided that that is my favorite form of reading just because it allows me to sort of optimize my work style in terms of, y'all know what I mean when I say a no big brain book. I can put on a no big brain book while I'm at work, and then I can put on my big brain books when I'm driving to and from work, when I am, doing the dishes and the chores around the house, when I am like diddling on my phone at night and want something else to be going on in my brain because ADHD is a thing, so I really feel like it actually helps me in the long run to focus on that format rather than other books, like formats of books. And so I think that my goal for this year is actually going to be 2,500 hours. And that seems like a ton. It is 1.5 times more than what I have this year. But I really do kind of just want to see what happens. If I'm at 1,400 now, that's not doubling where I'm at, but that's like whatever. I think if I were to put a smidgen more thought behind it, there's still a lot of points in my day where I'm not listening to an audiobook. I'm listening to music or, I mean, hey, fun fact, as you're watching this video, the TikTok ban happened today. So TikTok won't exist on January 19th. So the amount of time that I spend on that app, if I put that into reading, shoot, I'll be at 2,500 hours, no problemo. So I think there's plenty of options for me to get that way, and I don't think I'm going to like push myself to it. I think it's kind of just going to be an experiment year again. This year was an experiment just to get a baseline, and I think next year is going to be my experiment to see if I can push myself slightly, how that feels. So we're going to go with 2,500 hours. So next up is pages read, and this is probably the one where I'm going to be very realistic about what I did this year and what I think I'm going to do next year. I have a large physical TBR that stems from I'm a firm believer that book buying and book reading are two separate hobbies, but I used to be of the belief that you buy the book to read the book, and I now sort of understand the mentality of buying the book as the trophy. I'm sort of like bridging that gap in my collection right now, where I definitely do have a physical TBR that I need to get through, but honestly, I am using my library to get through those via audiobooks at this point. Not that I'm not reading physical books, because I definitely still do that, but just again, leading into my preferred method of getting through a book. So the physical books that I log as physical books in my apps and that I primarily read physical are very few and far between at this point. So again, this was an arbitrary statistic for me that I put down this year. I put 30,000 pages. I am absolutely nowhere near that. I had no idea how close I would get. And as of right now, I've read just over 22,000 pages. And that is with me being perhaps overly generous in books that I read maybe in dual format, and I put them as just having physically read them instead of audio read them. So I think that this year I'm going to drop that down to 10,000 pages. And if I hit that, I will be excited. I think I just want to sort of not care about that one as much, because the hours listened is what is more important to me. And then realistically, if I ever wanted a page count, I could add up the pages of all the books that I audio listen to. I just feel like the page count is probably the least important statistic to me at this point in my reading journey. So I'm going to bump that down to 10K. You can probably hear wind and truth in the background. I'm sorry. I will talk loudly. So next up is my diversity goal. And I think that generally I always have a diversity goal. I typically try to think about what I read this year and how I did diversity wise, if I feel good, if I feel like I'm making progress in this realm, and then what specific areas I feel like I really need to hone in on in 2025. And this year, my focus was to increase disability representation, and I feel like I did a really good job of that. I actually joined a couple of Storygraph challenges specifically around reading more books with disability representation, and that really helped. So if you are ever looking to read more diversely and genuinely don't know where to start, there's nothing wrong with that. Storygraph challenges are a great way to increase the diversity in what you read. I'm participating in the second year of the Diverse Baseline Challenge, and they've expanded their prompts and ideas this year, which is helpful to me, and also finding some other Storycraft challenges as well that can cater to specific areas of diversity that you might be interested in. I think for me this year, one of the things that I am interested in expanding upon diversity-wise, Black romances written by Black authors is one area where I'm looking to grow, and I have a ton of amazing recommendations in my queue from some really great creators. So Black romance is an area where I'm looking to expand this year. I think in general, I am always afraid of translated fiction, and that's something that I'm always pushing myself towards, to try and read more translated fiction in general across the board, regardless of where it's sort of coming from. I think the disability rep is still a growing thing for me in terms of really enjoyed the progress I made this year, would like to keep that up. But just general, I'm always looking for ways to increase the diversity in which I read. So I think it is a challenge and an endeavor that never ends. So we're going to see what we can accomplish in that realm in 2025. Next up, I have any goals related to my physical TBR, and I think last year I set a goal that I would read 30% of my physical TBR by the end of the year. I will be checking in on that goal here sometime, either at the beginning of 2025 or the end of this month, but probably at the beginning of 2025. And I seriously think I've made a chunk of that goal possible. I don't know if I hit that number. As I mentioned, I do have a very large physical TBR, but I do think I got close. But I am also a mood reader, and I get distracted very easily. So we'll see what we can do in that realm. But I think that 30% is still a good goal for me to keep in 2025. Next up is series goals that I have for 2025, and I think tracking my series is one of the biggest goals that I have. Definitely something I'm hoping the journal will help with. I want to get a sense of what series I'm in the middle of because I don't even know if I know. Like, I'm glad that I do a very good job of tracking my reading in terms of my apps, so I will be able to figure it out. But there are series that I probably have forgot about at this point that I started. In particular, if it's a fantasy series, oftentimes I would have to go back at this point and reread the books in order to catch up in the series. And I don't really want to have to do that. So I think if I can keep track of them better, then I will be able to continue and finish series that I'm in the middle of, which would also be obviously great for this channel. I would love to do some of those videos. I think those videos are super fun. It'd be nice to finish series that I'm reading, and I really don't even have a way of knowing at this point what those are. It'd be my series goal. Author's goal, I think one of the things that I noticed when I was doing my first and favorite video was that most of my most read authors are white, and so I do want to do things to change that this year. I just, for better or for worse, that's how things shook out, and it was eye-opening to me. So I definitely want to make sure that I am consistently returning to those authors of color that I love, because there are many authors of color who are very highly regarded in my sphere, and so I want to continue supporting them, reading their backlists and things like that as far as authors go. And lastly, I just have any challenges you want to partake in, and mine tend to all be Storycraft related challenges. I also, especially when setting up like a new journal and stuff, I will always just look up some challenge prompts like on Pinterest to see if there's any that interests me. But I know I always do the alphabet challenge every year. That's just a baseline, if it starts with that letter in the title kind of thing. Then I do enjoy doing a challenge that Storygraph does every year. They do a general like Storygraph Reads the World challenge where they pick different countries. I think they do like 10 countries, and you try to read books where either the author is from that country or the book is set in that country. And then they do a Storygraph genre challenge, I think might be what it's called. And those are some just like general ones that sort of push you outside the box prompt wise. So I really love those. I will be participating in the Diverse Baseline Challenge. I will be participating in the Trans Rights Readathon Challenge that always comes out. They actually do them a couple times a year. I follow a lot of people on Bookstagram that will post some really good challenges. I want to do some ARC-related challenges this year. I think that's my goal for challenges. That is going to be it for this video, friends. These videos have been so fun to make, and I hope that you're enjoying them. This one was a bit different than what we've done so far. I hope you enjoyed the little outing that we went on together, and I hope you enjoyed this, and it helps you set some goals for 2025. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so I don't miss you in the next one. Bye!